Oh, you Ravens. Oh, you tricky, tricky Ravens. Oh, you had my heart racing. Oh, that whole time. I mean, statistically, it should have been a blowout. I knew it wasn't going to because the Steelers don't like blowing out teams that are a lot worse than them. And the only reason why I'm saying the Ravens are really bad is because, like, all of their best players were out. And I know there's going to be people, there's people, like, they're mostly Ravens fans because they're butthurt that they lost. They're all whining, they're saying, oh, the Steelers are overrated, they almost lost to the friggin' Ravens, to, like, the practice squad Ravens, and I mean, the Ravens, I'm not defending this, but I mean, and then there's Ravens fans that are acting like, oh, we sucked because we had freaking RG3 and he sucks, but refresh my memory, he was a second overall pick of the 2012 NFL draft. He was a 2012 Offensive Rookie of the Year, and when he played at Baylor during college, he won the Heisman Trophy, so he's not a bad player. He just hasn't been as good as he was his 2012 season, and injuries really messed up his entire career. And he freaking destroyed the Steelers last year, so I don't want you guys acting like it's because they had RG3. And then they had Trace McSorley come in. He looked pretty good. I feel like if Lamar Jackson isn't going to play against the Cowboys on Tuesday because of his COVID injury, the Ravens should start Trace McSorley. I think he is a better quarterback than RG3. I mean, just saying, I mean, I know, like, oh, he had an 84-yard touchdown pass, but that was, I'm not saying it's because I'm a Steelers fan, but that really shouldn't have happened. That was a really big defensive mistake. I mean, you guys saw on that play, Steelers, Terrell Edmunds, like, I don't know what he was doing. Instead of, like, just doing a normal tackle, he decided to yeet himself towards him and dive instead of doing a normal tackle. And that allowed Marquise Brown to go 84 yards. Marquise Brown sure did show up yesterday. I mean, yeah, it was yesterday. And he should have, about time. I mean, of all of his whining that he does about him not getting enough targets, and then when they do throw it to him, he doesn't catch the dang ball. And so I'm glad he doesn't. I mean, he had a good game. This was a very big defensive game. Steelers' defense was amazing. I mean, excluding that horrible Terrell Edmunds decision. The defense was very good, spot on. They had a fumble recovery. They had a pick six by Joe Hayden. It almost didn't happen because he looked like he was going to fall down. And then, of course, Chris Boswell missed the PAT after the pick six, which is just typical because Boswell doesn't like making PATs a lot. It doesn't make sense how he can make a 59-yard field goal against Dallas, but he likes missing PATs a lot. It doesn't make sense to me, considering how spot-on Boswell was last season. Now, this offense. I got to get into the Steelers' offense. Oh, my God. This is the worst I've seen the Steelers' offense play the entire year. They didn't score any offensive touchdowns until the fourth quarter, and that was a Ben Roethlisberger touchdown pass to Juju. And I don't know what was going on with the receivers. There was a crap ton of times where Steelers receivers were dropping easy catches. I don't understand how we can drop easy, wide open passes, but then James Washington catches the ball when there's like three guys on top of him. I don't know how he caught that, but then all the other times they can't catch. It was all on third down too. Like every time they would throw it to Deontay, mostly it was Deontay Johnson and Eric Ebron. They were the ones that were dropping it most of the time. They need to improve. I don't know how you can drop the ball that many times. It wasn't even that bad of weather. It wasn't even raining. So you can't even use that as an excuse. If the Steelers want to have a chance, if they ever play Kansas City in the postseason, you can't have an offensive performance like that if you want to beat the Chiefs. I don't care how good our defense is. And now the defense is going to get a bit worse because of linebacker Bud Dupree is now out for probably the rest of the season with a torn ACL, which sucks. That's a huge hit on the Steelers' D, as he was a very powerful player. I mean, he and T.J. Watt had led the league in the biggest duo sacks. Like, he and T.J. Watt both had a combined 17.5 sacks. The people that were in second was Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd with 17. So that's a big hit. But some good news, the Ravens now mathematically impossible for the Ravens to win the division. If the Steelers lose out, they will finish 11-5. If the Ravens win out, they'll finish 11-5. The Steelers would win in a tiebreaker because the Steelers swept the Ravens, so it is now impossible for the Ravens to win the North this year. And the Steelers are really close to clinching a playoff spot in the division. What has to happen if the Steelers win next week and the Browns lose to Tennessee, the Steelers will clinch the AFC North, which that will give them a playoff spot. The Steelers can get a playoff spot if they win or tie with Washington. If they lose, then they have to have they'll have to have the Raiders lose or tie to the Jets. If that doesn't happen, which it's definitely not going to happen, then they have to hope that the Colts or the Texans or one of them beats or wins. Basically, the point is that if the Steelers beat Washington, they'll clinch a division and clinch a playoff spot. And the Browns will have to lose for them to win the division. But if the Steelers just win, they'll just automatically get a playoff spot. So that's the main goal. And it's also great. The Ravens it is now impossible for them to win the AFC North. And I honestly don't feel bad for them. And I actually like laughing at their face. I know that's like a dick thing to do. But I'm going to be honest. This is exactly what Ravens fans did last season after they swept the injury-ridden Steelers, saying they suck and everything, even though, let me remind you, the Ravens had to go to overtime to beat the Duck. And then Steelers had problems with injuries last year. I mean, the biggest one was Big Ben being out the entire season, and other key injuries. And also the Ravens freaking demolished Mason Rudolph in that game as well and gave him a concussion. And then they're just laughing in our face. And then they destroyed us with half a Ravens team last year with RG3. So don't be whining that, oh, you only won because we had RG3 when he destroyed the Steelers last season, so I don't want to hear it. Just a minute, you guys just need to accept the fact that you're not a good team this year. The only Ravens fans I respect, like there's another one, there's a big YouTuber Keeping It Real. He's not like, I mean, he's a Ravens fan I can respect because he's not like a complete a-hole. I mean, he admits defeat, he admits that their team sucks when they suck. He's not those guys that are like, oh, we're the best team ever, even though they're 6-5. And he's a guy that I can respect. A Ravens fan I can respect because he admits fault when fault is due, and if his team does good against like the Steelers, he's not like laughing in their face. The only reason why I'm doing this is because this is exactly what the Ravens fans did last year when they swept us, and now we swept them. So that's some great time to be a Steelers fan, especially now that we're 11-0 for the first time ever, and the winning streak is looking to continue. It is possible we could go 16-0. Is it going to happen? I doubt it. I feel we're going to lose at some point. If we go 16-0, then I'd love that. That'd be great, but I don't think it's going to happen. The remaining of the season, it's at home against Washington on Monday. It was supposed to be Sunday, but because the Steelers-Ravens got postponed a million times, they moved the Steelers-Washington game to Monday. Then after that, it'll be a Sunday night matchup against Buffalo, at Buffalo. I feel like if we lose a game, it'll be that, because Buffalo's a pretty good team this season. Then after that, it'll be a Monday night matchup at Cincinnati. It won't be against Joe Burrow this time, as he suffered a season-ending injury. He might be out for 2021 as well. His knee is really bad right now. I feel really bad for him, because he's a great player. Then after that, it'll be We'll be at home against the Indianapolis Colts, and then after that will be a Week 17 matchup at the Browns. So, I mean, we could lose to Cleveland Week 17. Now, here's the thing. Usually the only time you lose a Week 17 game if you're a good team is if you sit out your starters because you want to keep them safe for the playoffs. Here, what I would do is that if the Steelers go into that game, like they've already clinched like a really good playoff spot, but they have like a loss or two, then I would definitely sit the starters. But if the Steelers, even though if they've already clinched everything, if they're 15-0 going into that game, I would play the starters to try to get the undefeated season. I mean, because I don't trust Mason Rudolph or Joshua Dobbs to do it for us. At least we don't have the Duck anymore. So yeah, next game will be against Washington. That'll be on Monday, December 7th. So hopefully that'll be a win. It should be a win. Because Washington can't really beat anybody outside the NFC East. They have 4 wins. So, and they lost to the Giants twice. They beat Dallas twice and beat Philly once. So they have to have another win outside of the division. I can't really think about what it is right now. But we'll see. We'll figure out what it is. But I think, oh yeah, Washington beat Cincinnati. That's what it was. Anyway, so that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching this video. I will see you next time. Goodbye.